Hey guys, so welcome to today's episode. So today's video is all about critics. Critics, it's something that we all have. I'm sure in the past that you've had someone criticize you or write something bad about you. Now, whether it's a colleague at work or someone bickering to one of your friends about you, we've all experienced criticism at one point or another. And none of us like it. Sometimes people say they don't care what others think or say about them, but the fact is, we do care. But getting criticized reaches an entirely new level when you start striving for ambitious goals publicly. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I want to talk to you about getting criticism today, and if there's anyone qualified to tell you how to deal with it, public criticism that is, it's me. The first thing you should know is if you have big audacious goals in life which require that you be very public and you put yourself out there, you're going to have critics, and you already know that. Now, whether you let it discourage you or stop you, that's an entirely different question. So let's talk about Donald Trump. Put aside the politics for a moment. What I think we can all agree on is that from day one, Donald Trump has got a lot of criticism. The media were against him in a way that hadn't really been seen before from day one, at least in my lifetime. Every single late night TV show from Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, from the very moment that he got into office, every single night they were against him. And it could be the pettiest little thing he did that day, or it could be a pretty major thing, but he was the butt of their jokes. And for the first year or so, I'll admit it was kind of funny. But then it just went on and on and on. And literally every single night, that's what their main focus was. Now, whether it's warranted or not, that's for you to decide. I'm not going to get into politics here, but the majority of people, if they were to get the same amount of scrutiny and negative media attention as Donald Trump gets, it'd probably blow their brains out. I mean, it's at a level that most people would not be able to handle. So why is it that some people like Trump seem to be able to continue to strive forwards ambitiously without letting criticism stop them? So the first thing to understand is that all majorly successful people accept at some point that they're going to always get criticized. No matter what they do, they're going to get criticized. And it bothers them, but they have to accept it. And there's a moment where this happens. Now, for me, this moment came almost 10 years ago. Most of my critics were online. It began on a small scale. Sometime around 2011, I had a few thousand people on my email list, and I'd send out an email broadcast, and then sometimes I'd get a few nasty responses. Now, it was no big deal, but at the time it bothered me, but I soon got used to it. And then as the years went on, the odd blog post would show up. So that was now a little bit more public. And then some YouTube videos. And years later, I've even had some major newspapers write entire articles of me. Now, some of those same newspapers who people think are credible literally made up things that I had apparently said because some lazy, incompetent reporter did their research from reading social media comments and blog posts. They didn't exactly fact check. Now, by the way, what Trump says about the media and how they lie, it's 100% true. They really do. Now, at some point early on, I accepted that criticism was part and parcel with my goals. And I realized that most of the people doing the criticizing, they didn't know me. They didn't know what I was offering. They were observers, from the outside. They'd never been part of what I was doing. And they arrived at their opinion without checking facts or getting both sides of the story. So I just decided that their opinion didn't really mean too much. I stopped putting any value on it. And as tempting as it might be sometimes to do this, I stopped looking. I stopped looking and I stopped worrying about what people were saying. I just decided to focus on my goals and moving forwards. So that's what I did. Now, here's the thing. Criticism will always thrive online. It will always rise to the surface and get the majority of the attention. And that's because on the internet, The single easiest way to get attention is to go and find someone who's got a large audience and then tear them down. So whether it's a YouTube channel, a blog, whatever it is, a guaranteed way to get more traffic and a lot of traffic is to start tearing down public figures, because that's what people like to see. There's this perverse characteristic, and it's inside of all of us, me, you, all of us, where we like at some level to see high profile people fall from grace. We love a good scandal. Just look at the attention, for example, that Ellen DeGeneres is getting right now in the media. Now, personally, I think it's completely ridiculous. I'm not saying I'm a fan of Ellen or one way or the other, but I got nothing against her. And what I find interesting is that former staff members who have worked there for many years are now coming out as victims, saying how bad it was, but yet they still kept showing up for work every single day for years on end, collecting a paycheck. It's not like anyone was there holding a gun to their head telling them they had to work for her. They made a choice, so I don't see them as victims. The media know that this makes a great story. A person whose reputation seemed impeccable, perfect on the outside, and she turns out to be the opposite, at least according to them, and the public eats that up. So assure us the sun will rise tomorrow if you start doing really well in your field, in your career, in any area. You're going to get attacked, ridiculed, criticized, and you'll either shirk away from it, withdraw and scale back and decide to be less ambitious, or you'll just learn how to live with it and not let it define you or your own opinion of yourself. And if you give your critics more preference and attention than your own supporters, it's like you're working for two bosses and you're listening to the one who doesn't value you, they don't like you, they don't even pay you. Why would you do that? So finally, take some comfort in knowing that as you continue to march forwards, it's really pissing off your critics. Okay, so that's what I've got to say about critics. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe.